Everyone, please stand up and welcome our guests.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, faculty members, and students. I am Aksha Vora from BTech CSE. It is my privilege to introduce Professor Somitra Sanandhya, a distinguished academic and researcher currently serving as a professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur. Professor Sanandhya also holds key leadership positions at IIT Jodhpur, serving as the Dean of Digital Infrastructure and Automation and the Chief Information Security Officer. His academic expertise spans diverse and cutting-edge fields, including crypto. Sanandhya also made remarkable contributions to research community. He has chained and contributed to major conferences such as upcoming IFIBWG 11.9 International Conference on Digital Forensics, where he serves as the organizing chair. Additionally, he has served as the acting director of the DRDO Industry Academia Center of Excellence at IIT Jodhpur. We are honored to have him with us today. To mark this occasion, I now invite Ms. Nishu Chaudhary to kindly present the bouquet to the Professor Somitra Sanandhya.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be in front of you. I was told to talk about cyber security, but cyber security is a very big area. Rather talk about a specific domain, and through this example of what is password security, you will understand how interesting cyber security is and how difficult it is. Okay? So, if you feel uncomfortable at any point of time with English, feel free to raise your hand. I will be happy to speak in Hindi as well. I am sorry that I don't understand Gujarati, but I understand Hindi and English quite well and should be able to switch a little bit into Hindi also. So, today we are going to talk about password security. It is it's meant to be intentionally not a very technical talk, not deep technical talk. There will be technical concepts which I am going to explain as the time progresses. Okay. So, let us talk about a mail. So, when I was preparing these slides a few years ago in 2022, that morning I received an email from CERTIN. This is our advisories that we received from Government of India's cyber security organization CERTIN, and it said there are 4 users of IITJ whose email credentials are compromised, and the mail contained email IDs like this person @iitj.ac.in and its password is this. And we verified, we tried to check those passwords, tried to log in, and we succeeded. So, that told us that the information which was there was indeed correct. So, how do you think that people are leaking your passwords? This is a very central problem in cyber security. One of the most common ways people hack into your systems is by leaked passwords. So, today I am going to talk about this password scheme only, and I will use Hollywood, Bollywood, serials, web series, etc. examples, and there are lots of memes in this talk, intentionally meant because you are just beginning your academic journey. So, you have not yet had a formal exposure to the bachelor's degree which you are going to begin now. So, intentionally made in this manner. I hope I make you laugh in this talk. Okay? And there are some internet pictures, there are some articles from internet, etc. And as I already mentioned, the aim is to be less technical and more to create awareness about cyber security. So, this is a very famous cartoon on the internet. So, a dog is sitting on a laptop, on a desktop, and telling another dog, on the internet nobody knows you are a dog. Okay. So, this is a big problem on internet of anonymity. You do not know the person to whom you are talking, who is this person. Okay. This is a very, very famous cartoon published in 1993 in the New Yorker magazine by Peter Schneider, and this has become an extremely popular joke on the internet about anonymity. Internet allows you anonymity of this kind. If you are talking to somebody, you do not know who this person is. Okay? And there are maybe some of you who have talked to some Angel Priya in your school days. Okay? Okay. So this is now authentication. So the next problem I am going to talk about is authentication. So authentication is the act of proving the identity of a system or a user. So you are guaranteeing that person you are talking to is indeed true. Okay, and there is this famous Ramcharitmanas story, Ramayana story. So Lord Hanuman is given a mudrika by Lord Ram, and he presents this mudrika to goddess Sita to prove that I am indeed coming from Lord Ram. Okay, and this is the chaupai from Ramcharitmanas, which says Kapi kar hridaya vichar dini mudrika daritam. So this is just before this this doha comes in the Ramcharitmanas. This is from Sundarkand. So so Ravan has just gone after talking to Sita and threatening her, and goddess is in pain, and she is praying to God that why doesn't a fire appear from sky and I burn myself in it. So this is the sentence just before this doha comes, and Kapi Hanumanji gets very pained by listening to this talk by goddess Sita, and then after a bit of thinking he drops this mudrika. So this is Kapi kar hridaya vichar. He thought for some time, and dini mudrika daritam. So he dropped the mudrika below the tree on which he was sitting, and Janu Ashok Angar Din, as if the Ashok tree has given her the fire that she was praying to the god. Harasi uthi kar gahe hu. So goddess Sita rose from the place she was sitting and tried to pick it up, that as if fire has come, because she was praying for the fire. So this is how Hanumanji proved to the goddess that I am actually coming from Lord Ram, and I am not a fake nishachar trying to claim somebody else. This is the authentication. Okay, how to prove yourself. Okay, now authentication failures, when there are, they lead to cyber crime. Okay, and a lot of cyber crime which happens today happens because of fake identities. You think you are talking to somebody, but that person is not the person who is claiming it to be. There are emails from Nigerian princes or princesses saying that their husband or some family member has died. They have so many dollars lying in an account, and if you help them, they will give you some 25% cut. Okay, a very common Nigerian princess scam. There are Facebook friend scams. You receive a friend request from somebody, and that friend is already your friend. So maybe you think there is another account the person has created, but turns out this is a fake person. Okay, and they use your friend's pictures, everything else from their public profile and so on. So a lot of people will probably be fooled into believing. There have been cases when famous Bollywood actresses or even politicians' children have been fooled into this, because they received a Facebook request from somebody, and then this friend said, I am stuck in this foreign country and I have lost my passport and I have no money. Can you please send me $20,000 because I need to book my tickets and get my visa reissued again. And these people did not think twice and sent the money. This was when this kind of a scam was very new. Nowadays, of course, people will not believe, but this was very common. And in this talk, I will talk about how do you protect yourself. So more of this kind. So how do you prove who you are? Maybe this video can be on one side, because I have a lot of slides. Okay, yeah. So there are three methods. First one is you prove what do you have. So something that you possess, the one that I explained to you earlier, Hanumanji possessed something which could prove him to goddess Sita. In companies, you have a card which you swipe on the machine at the gate, and the company and the machine understands that you are having this something, and they allow you to enter. In old Bollywood movies of 70s, smugglers used to have a currency note cut into two parts. One part was carried by the smuggler, the other part by the person who was supposed to receive. And they will join the note. If it matches, they know that this is the right person to whom I have to deliver these drugs or whatever smuggled goods. Okay, a very famous Bollywood movies of 70s and 80s. Sadly, this technology is lost in the current Bollywood movies. Okay, now the other person is you prove who you are. Okay, a very famous movie Nagina in 1986, Sridevi. Her eyes had some very specific pattern. Those of you from younger generation, you might be watching Bollywood movies, Hollywood movies. So there is a movie Minority Report 2002, Tom Cruise, and he is having his retina scanned by the machine. and which allows him to enter the room where he wants. Okay? And then handprint, thumbprints, these are all technologies which are some things that you possess. So now you are not carrying something with you. There is no card that you are carrying. It is that just who you are, and you can prove yourself that I am this person. Okay? Typically something, your body part or your something related to your body which cannot be modified. Thumbprints, etc. are things of this kind. Okay? And the third thing is something that you know. Okay? So 16 December passed recently. There is a very famous movie with the title 16 December, and there was a password called Dulhan ki vidai ka waqt badalna hai. Okay? It has also become a meme these days, okay? For multiple reasons. One of it is that it was an audio password in a particular person's voice. These kind of things do not really exist in practical systems. The second thing is when you write it like this, there is spaces. Passwords don't have spaces if you are typing them, and so on. Then there are security questions and other kind of passwords. So this is something that you memorize. So three things we saw: method 1, method 2, and method 3. What you have, who you are, or what you remember, or what you can only you know, nobody else. And then there are combinations of these. So if you want to draw money from your ATM, you not only need to have something which bank has given you, you also need to have a PIN, which is the password. So it is method 2 and method 3 combined, and many other places. In travel, for example, if you want to go somewhere, you not only need to have the ticket, but you also need to prove that you are the correct person. Maybe having your Aadhaar card or your passport or another identity which allows you to show that you are this person. So combinations are also okay. Passwords actually are very, very popular. If I have to single out, this is the only thing which is used most popularly in the internet. Why? Because they are very easy to use. And the problem with them is that they are very, very insecure when they are not used properly. And I will show you some of the things which can go wrong when passwords are not used properly. So first is very easy thing. You have easy passwords. Okay. So if you are using short passwords, okay, so they are very, very easy to guess. Okay. So typically, if I have a friend named Sumit Saxena, he will have a password sexy123 $. Okay, very common. Okay, very, very common. This is the kind of people will have. Okay, so it's easy to guess for me by looking at the name of a person. If I know the date of birth of themselves or their family members, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, family members, I can guess because they are typically going to use that number also somewhere. Okay, very, very easy. So I already know that these are common techniques people use. If they have a car or a scooter, likely that they are also using that number in their password or as PIN. Okay. So you know you people lose sometimes money via Google Pay or other accounts because you are using date of birth as PIN. Okay. There are 4 digits. Which is the easiest 4 digit you would remember? Somebody's date of birth. Okay. So that is a very common technique people do, and it's not just only you know this. Others also know, and your date of birth is so easy to guess. Okay. First of all, year is mostly easy to guess. If looking at your age, where you are studying right now, I can already guess that you must be 17, 18-year-old. Okay. So the year is already very easy. Date of birth, I just need to go to any of your friends' Facebook profile. Even if you have make it protected, your friends may not have. And somebody would have hotel booking, railway timetable, I can even see your Aadhaar card and other kind of details. So these things are not very hard to find if somebody is interested. So that's why these easy things are very, very difficult to protect. Even bigger problem, this is called shoulder surfing attack. So there are a couple of people sitting here from a movie, again Bollywood movie. One person is typing something on the computer, and you see the other person is just sitting nearby, but he can easily shoulder surf. He can just look and he will see what you are typing. And this is again a common technique used in ATMs, and that is why banks typically tell you that when you are in ATM kiosk, don't allow anybody else to come in. It is to prevent shoulder surfing, because your card can be cloned by some reason, or you can be, there can be a pickpocketing against you, your card can be stolen. Then the only thing which protects you is your PIN. But if somebody has already seen the PIN you are typing, it is already gone. So security is gone. So that is why banks actually give this. But the public is like this, they don't care. Okay, it doesn't matter to them. So this is a big problem, big problem of passwords. People actually use passwords in this fashion. very poor passwords. Okay. Now I want to talk about the other side. You have chosen a password, but how is it stored on the bank server, okay, or whichever website you are storing. So suppose you are going to store the passwords as it is. You had a password, okay, something $123, okay, it went to the other side, and the bank stored as it is. Okay. Now everybody's password is being stolen like that, stored like that. Now what happens if there is a leakage of the database of the bank? And don't think that it is uncommon. It happens very, very commonly. Bank databases, LinkedIn databases, they all keep getting leaked very, very often. Today morning, just before I was coming to this talk, I checked one of my email IDs, how many times this email ID is present in leaked databases on internet. I found it 9 times, okay, from 2012 to 2021. 9 times my password was, my email ID was present in some databases. Okay. So of course it is not my email ID's leakage, it is accounts linked to that email ID. So for example, Domino's Pizza, I once created an account on Domino's because my phone wanted it to order pizza. My kids liked that Domino's Pizza and it was very close to my home, so I created an account and then I used to order sometimes. Now it is not that my mail ID was leaked, Domino's Pizza's server was hacked. So every information which was there in that server about that particular email ID was leaked. Now what was the information that I had stored there? My address, my phone number, email ID and my orders. Now it doesn't matter how many pizzas did I order, what kind, it's not a serious issue probably, but my address is serious. Why should people know what is my exact address, what time I am available, and even by guessing, by looking at the number of pizzas and guess, you might even make a prediction, is it a house party or it is only for family I am ordering. If I am ordering 20 pizza, maybe I am ordering for friends. If I am ordering only 2, 3 pizza, 4 pizza, maybe my family members want it. So you can actually try to understand a lot of things from the leaked data. So it's not a good idea to leak your data, but unfortunately this is what is going to happen. Now if the passwords were actually being stored as it is, the big problem is that some company created a weak strategy to store data. Maybe it was Domino's in one case, it could be LinkedIn in another case and so on. The problem is that millions or thousands of users, all of their data is going to leak. Okay. That is not a company would like to do. A company would ideally like that if you are non-serious, if you are yourself using a bad password, you are not serious about your own security and your data gets leaked, it is okay. But because of a mistake of the company, everybody's data should not get leaked. So if this is what I want to do, then how do I ensure that there is no mistake from the company's side in storing the data? So what I want is that even if the database gets leaked, nobody's password should get leaked. Now understand, I am believing here that the database is going to get leaked sometime. Okay. So I am actually being over cautious, and in cybersecurity it's an important principle. Remember this very important principle, and that is what I am going to cover the entire talk. I will talk about examples and I will talk about principles of cybersecurity. So one of the principles of cybersecurity is that always believe in the worst case. Something wrong is going to happen. How do you protect? So my point here is that database is going to be leaked. I still want to protect my users. I am the owner of a website or a service. Thousands of users are going to log into my website. My server may get leaked some point of time, but I still do not want to leak their passwords, which means I must not be storing their passwords as it is. Clear? I should do something about the passwords. They should not be in my database as it is, because even if my database gets leaked, their password should not get leaked. So how do I store my passwords in that case? If I don't store passwords, how do I verify? What I am saying is that even if my database gets leaked, their password should not get leaked. So what kind of things can I do? Think about it. What would be a solution? Anybody would like to make a suggestion? Yes? Encryption. Okay. Encryption is not a good idea because maybe because you don't understand the meaning between encryption and hashing. Encryption is a problem that requires a secret key to compute. So where will you keep that secret key? If that key gets leaked, then it is same as not having any secret. Okay. The other problem is that if that key gets leaked, everybody's password will be leaked. Okay. So what I want to do is something else, and there are examples, by the way. Before I go into the security, there are examples. This is a news from 2021 when Facebook's 533 million Facebook users' phone number and personal data were leaked online. Okay. There are issues like IEEE, one of the standards organization in computer science. In 2012, they agreed that yes, there was a leak of their database. So users' passwords and their personal profiles were leaked. So it is very, very common to have. So what we want to do is the solution, that I have a password X. I will not store the password. I will compute a function f on it, and I will have some function f of x. I am going to store that f of x in my database. But the requirement I have is that even when you know f of x, you cannot find out what is x. Okay. So it is easy to go in this direction, but very hard to come in this direction. So these are functions which are easy to compute in forward direction, but very hard to compute in the backward direction. So finding the value of a function at a point is easy, but inverting that function is hard. Okay. So all of you have studied in 12th class mathematics, functions and inverses, so on. So this is what I am talking about. Computing the function is easy, inverting it is hard, and they are called one-way functions. Okay. And the most common one-way function in computer science is hash functions. So these are called cryptographic hash functions, which are what are used. So now if you give me a password x, I will compute f of x, which is very easy, and I will store f of x in my database. Now my database gets leaked tomorrow. Attacker has f of x. They cannot find out what is x. And this is precisely what I wanted. But when you log in, what happens? The server computes f of x and then checks is it matching or not. So leaking of f of x does not allow your password to be known to the attacker. So this is the way passwords are stored, by a one-way function or a hashing function. Okay. This is how everybody does it. Okay. Now this is what I exactly just now said, and this is called hashed password. Okay. So hashed passwords are easy way to do, and that is practically what everybody does. Okay. Now somebody, again a meme from somewhere. Okay. This is all nice, but doesn't seem practical. Okay. So why? Because who will compute f of x, how this function f is going to be designed, and so on. So we are going to talk about it. This is Zomato actually had a password hash. Okay. So this is from 2017 Indian Express news. Zomato was using some f of x, okay, some function f. That function f was very bad. So somebody had actually f of x, they inverted it. Okay. So it did not really serve the purpose. Okay. There are the other problem with this is that if I know your name, your family members' names, date of birth, car number, scooter number, etc., maybe I can already make a guess of say 500 possible combinations, which is likely to be your password. Okay. Very easy. So these are called password dictionaries. A study was done actually, and people found what is the most common password. This is about 10 years ago. The most common password was the word PASSWORD, password. Okay. So people using password as password. Okay. Okay. So there are passwords people will use as Marilyn Monroe. Okay. Things like that. So people just use some name or some number, and 1 2 3 4 5 QWERTY. These are all common passwords, and that's why companies have now started enforcing certain kind of rules. You must have at least this, at least that, and so on. We will talk about that later. But what I am trying to say is that if I know this 500 combinations of passwords you are likely to have, I will just keep on trying one by one. Usually the function f is in your browser. It is implemented in your browser. So I know what the function f is. If I know I can guess your password x, x1, x2, x3, x4, x500. These are 500 possibilities. I will just try one by one. Okay. Out of this 500, one time I am going to compute the value f of x, which I match with the database that I have already stolen. So I have the stolen database. My goal is to find out what is the password corresponding to this entry. I have f of x. My goal is to find out x. So I try x1, x2, x3, x4, x500, and I just keep on computing f of x, f of x, f of x every time, and I match. Where is it matching? The moment I find a match, I know, okay, for this value the password is this. And the point is that this idea succeeds not just against one person, but against a large number of people. So if there are 1,000 users in a company and I have created a password database, I just keep on trying, very high likelihood that one of those 1,000 people would have a weak password and I would have guessed it. So this idea works only because of one bad person. Okay. So what I want to do is that I do not want to allow this kind of an attack to happen. And the interesting thing is that in this case I don't even need to wait for the password database to get leaked. I can do this computation at my home. I know what is the function f being used by Google. So I don't even wait for Gmail's password database to get leaked. I do some pre-computation at my home in my leisure. I just create a list of 10,000, 20,000 very common passwords. I compute f of x on all of them, make this database at my home and keep it. The moment Google's password database gets leaked, I just match my values with the value there and immediately find, okay, this person has this password. And typically when password databases get leaked, people do not have time to immediately change passwords. Suppose it is US night time when the password database got leaked. Even if Google knows it, Google cannot force everybody to change password immediately, because many of the users might be across the world, they might be sleeping at that point of time. They will only see any message from Gmail in the morning, and this is enough time, 5-6 hours, in which the attacker can actually log in into your system and change your password. So it is not very easy. People might be traveling, they cannot change, they cannot even check their email during that time, they might be in flight, okay, or they might be in a medical situation. So it is not possible for people to immediately change the password. So what I would like to do is the next thing, I would like to prevent this brute forcing also. Even if the database gets leaked, somebody should not have created this table beforehand, even when people are using bad passwords. See, we are slowly increasing the power of the system. I earlier said that the database gets leaked, password should not be known. I am now asking more. I am saying even if the database gets leaked, somebody should not have pre-computed these calculations. So they must start their calculation only when the database gets leaked, because from that point they will start their effort. So the previous effort, this brute forcing effort, is nullified. So I cannot prevent brute force once the database is leaked, because the function f cannot be kept secret. It is public. It is in your browser. So that browser password database, the function is available. So what I want to do now is that people must start their computation from the time the database gets leaked, not beforehand. So what will we do for that? So this is one thing that people try to do to prevent people from brute forcing, is to put these captchas, audio, text and so on, and you have all seen the usability issue with it. There is this kind of a picture you see and says find out all squares where this cycle is present, okay, and then you see this particular boxes, okay, and you think whether I should include this box or both, because cycle seems to be covering even this part a little bit, okay. So it becomes hard for users. Do this, read this character, okay. Now it's very hard for us to read that character sometimes, because they are rotated characters and stuff like that, okay. So this is a joke that I have no idea what it is, but I swear that I am a human, okay. So this is not very easy many times for human beings to actually prove that you are not human, okay. So this actually makes life very hard, and especially for old people or people with disabilities. And you don't want to make a system which is unfair for certain set of people, old age, or people who are not able to hear properly, or people who cannot see properly. You don't want any system, technologically you don't want to drive out people. So technological solution should be for all kind of people. CAPTCHAs don't even work. So you think that CAPTCHAs probably, okay, at least for this set of people there is a usability issue, but for others it works. So here is what students did in Stanford in 2017. There was a course being taught, CS229. This was some machine learning course, second year students were doing it, and they were given a course project. And in the course project, the student actually showed that CAPTCHAs can be broken with deep learning. So they created a model and they created this pen. Okay, you see this pen and a robotic hand. And this is the touchpad of the computer, and this computer was running an algorithm. This algorithm was saying what is this CAPTCHA. Okay. And it was actually winning with about 97% of the time, even more than human beings. Human beings will probably win against this CAPTCHA 90% of the times. This computer was winning 97% of the times. So CAPTCHAs don't even work. Okay. So what about strong passwords? You think maybe let passwords be very strong. The problem is that whenever you, this is a joke, of course, that I changed my password to incorrect. So whenever I forget, it says your password is incorrect. You will remember it. Okay. So there are jokes about it. There's another one. Set your Wi-Fi password to this because somebody asks you. You say 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So this is 1, 2, then 3 4s, and then 5 6s, and 7 8s. So that's easy to remember, but these are again jokes. You don't use your passwords like that. They are very bad passwords. Okay. But these are just jokes that, and this is a fun public Wi-Fi. There is a Fourier equation here. Solve it, and what is the password? Okay. So again, you don't do this. So if you want strong passwords, what today's companies advise you is that at least 8 characters, maybe better 12 to 15 characters. Try to use all kind of keyboards. So it should not be just one place QWERTY. You use some character from here, there. So all part of the keyboard should be used. There should be special characters. You should not use dictionary words. Okay. So if you use dog or cat in your password, or Robert and things like that, it might be easy for somebody to guess. So make a combination which are not making dictionary words, because attackers actually create password databases from dictionary words. So at least this is going to happen. And don't use your family members' birthdays or names and date of birth, because these are usually public information. Okay. Even if you are not leaking it, somebody in your family or friends might be leaking it on Facebook or social media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Okay. And think about this, an old example. This is from a website or a service called Statista, and they made an estimate how long your password is and how much time will it take for somebody to just brute force all possible combinations. So if you use 8 characters which are only lowercase, it will be practically instantly. If it is 9 characters, it will probably take 2 minutes. If it is 10 characters, it will take about an hour. If you are using at least one uppercase, even then 7 characters are going to be broken instantly. 8 characters will take about 22 minutes, and so on. So you see, if you make at least one uppercase, one lowercase, and one number, then if you have 8 characters, it is going to take about 8 hours. Now this is what you people use mostly. At least 8 characters, at least one uppercase, at least one lowercase, at least one special character. And this website or service already tells you that it will take you about 8 hours to break. So it's not very hard already. And importantly, this is for an attacker using a standard computer. If the attacker starts to have a GPU or a supercomputer, which are actually available in many places nowadays, even in India. IIT Jodhpur has 2 such computers. All IITs have this kind of a huge computer nowadays, NVIDIA GPUs, etc., which is a cluster of 500 CPUs and so on, 500 GPUs. These kind of things will practically break it instantly in few seconds or maybe minutes. So this is a problem with passwords, that small passwords, not very long and very easy to remember, they will all be broken. So you need a long password if you really want to make it strong. But the problem with strong password, that I already said, is that if you use a strong password, you are highly likely to forget it, and then you have to do recovery. Okay. This is a very, very common situation. So, so there are some examples. Now I want to tell you how do you generate your own password. So there is a phrase, I first went to Disneyland when I was 8 years old and it made me happy. And then I will take some letters. I am taking I. First I am writing as 1ST, went to Disneyland. So I am writing W2DL and so on. So I am trying to make some combination. And this example is from cybernews.com, some link which I can tell you. So there are examples of this kind, and looks very complicated, but it's very easy for you to remember because you just need to remember one phrase. Okay. There are similar examples. Use multiple dictionary words and combine them by some special ways, like here jigsaw, quest, rate and fork, and I created a password from here, again from cybernews.com, an example. So these are actually literally hard for attackers to break. Okay. Now the problem is that it is not for one website you are creating password. You have an account on maybe Zomato, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and so many things. And how do you remember? So there is a joke. I have the MRI scan of your brain. The right hemisphere is clogged with computer passwords. Okay. There are just so many services that you use. How many passwords do you remember? Becomes very, very hard. Okay. So usability is a big issue. And why not use the same passwords everywhere? Because it is strong password. Let me use everything everywhere. But the problem is that just because you actually a song streaming company's database gets leaked, you do not want your bank account to be actually made zero. Okay. So listening to songs is not the same level of security as your money. Okay. So one place somebody leaks your password, at best what will they know? They will know what time you were listening to what song. They may be able to guess whether you had a breakup or whether you are in love. Okay. Maybe that kind of a guess somebody can make. Okay. But beyond that, it's not a big deal. But your bank password getting leaked has a much big deal. Okay. So that is not something you would like to do. Okay. So different passwords are needed. This is the example. If you use the same password, although your password may be very strong for one website, if you use it same, then it becomes extremely bad overall. Okay. This is not something that we recommend. And Google did a survey in 2018. This is the picture from there. And they asked a question, is password reuse still a problem? And this is from Google 2018. And they found 52% users were using the same passwords for multiple accounts, but maybe not all. Okay. 35% were using different passwords for different accounts, and 13% were actually using the same password for all their accounts. So imagine you had these many people, 52 and 13, who were actually vulnerable to this kind of an attack. One password leaked, other passwords also leaked. Okay. And what if you forget password very frequently? So you are going to use some service and say reset my password. Now if you reset password, this is a very nice attack. It happened against a US vice presidential candidate, Sarah Palin. This was I think 2014 or 15, maybe I don't remember the year, but you can Google Sarah Palin. She had I think 2008, okay, it mentions here 2008. So she was a vice presidential candidate, just like Kamala Harris recently. Okay. And later on Kamala Harris actually fought for the president, but initially she was the vice presidential candidate. So this vice presidential candidate, she had a Yahoo account, and somebody actually tried to log in as Sarah Palin, because your email ID is public, you give it everywhere, okay, isn't it? So email ID is supposed to be public, your password is to be kept secret. If I want to write an email to you, I need to know your email ID. So email ID of Sarah Palin was public. Somebody just tried to log in as Sarah Palin and chose the option forgot password. Now when forgot password option was chosen, the website went to a different place and said answer these security questions. And what are the kind of security questions you have? On which street were you born? What was the name of the first school? What is your mother's maiden name? Very common questions. Okay. For a politician who is in public life, these are all public information. Okay. Everybody knows what was the mother's maiden name. Everybody knows what school they were studying. Okay. They will even know who are their best friends and so on. So this user, this student from college just did that. He just answered them correctly, logged into her account, downloaded her emails and then made them public. Okay. And it actually led to her political embarrassment. There were things which she did not want to tell to her opponents in public space, but they were leaked. And this boy was jailed because this was a crime in US, and as I can show you, this was David Kernel. This guy was then posted on 4chan's bulletin board. He was a 20-year-old college student, and then he was jailed for this crime. Okay. So one solution is that why not use multi-factor authentication? Maybe have your phone-based app or SMS or offline codes or something else before you allow reset. Okay. This is again, most companies do that nowadays. They don't allow you to reset your password without a second factor authentication. Okay. In general, it's a good idea, but again Google survey in 2018 revealed that people actually have a different way of handling accounts. So if you are 16 to 24-year-old, which is most of this class right now, you are more likely to use two-factor authentication, you are more likely to update your applications regularly. But if you are 50-plus-year-old like me, then you are less likely to do those things. Okay. So this is again a problem of generation now. You cannot force everything on everybody. People of my generation and my father's generation are unlikely to do. My generation will probably keep one good password, but they will not change it for years. And my father's generation would not even know how to use passwords. Okay. So they will ask their grandson to do and type something. Okay. So this is a generation issue, not very easy to solve. There are even funny things. In Brazil, this soccer World Cup took place, football World Cup, and here is the room from where this TV monitoring was happening. And this guy is Loe Doria. He was head of International Cooperation of Brazil Federal Police. He was in the monitoring station from where the football World Cup was being beamed across the world. And you notice somewhere here, there is a screen which is circled. So here it said SSH ID this and password is this. It was there somewhere, somebody had written, and he forgot to remove that screen when giving interview. So in the interview he was presenting and this was visible. So somebody actually logged in with that account. Okay. So it's very hard to keep information. There are even funnier things. This is a Hawaii emergency service in US 2018. This there was a hurricane likelihood or something, and this person was being interviewed. Look at his computer screen. Below the computer screen there is a pasted password. Okay. Many of you do that. In fact, you will see in many government offices you will find the same computer being shared by 3-4 people, and they will actually have a password stored pasted like that. So if one person goes and the second person comes, he can log in. Very convenient for them, but it's very easy for somebody to look at it. Okay. Here he actually posted it on his computer, and while giving interview forgot to remove it. And that day in 2018, when the interview was telecast, within minutes there were missile firing warnings and so on from this particular place. This was a hurricane center. It was supposed to inform public about hurricanes and so on, and suddenly there were missile fire warnings and so on from this place. And people investigated. It was some pranksters who actually got hold of this password and logged into the system and issued this missile launch warnings. So it's not very easy. So what do you want to do is to change passwords very frequently. And this is a joke. I had to change my password. Now I have to change my baby's name. Okay. Because people use their baby name as passwords. Okay. And this is the famous Anarkali joke. Utho Anarkali, password change karne ka samay ho gaya. Okay. So this is a problem. It's not easy for you to remember when to change passwords. And it actually is a usability issue. Okay. And there is a very famous comment by Eric Griffin, who is a writer for PC Magazine online, and he said about this: passwords are like underwear. You should change them often, maybe not every day. Don't share them, don't leave them out for others to see, and they should be sexy. But sorry, I mean they should be mysterious. Okay. In other words, make your passwords a total mystery to others. Okay. So this is an advice that this guy gave about passwords. Okay. So far I covered about strong passwords, about different passwords for each website, don't post passwords where they are visible, multi-factor authentication, and changing passwords periodically. This is for the general that we had, but what about their usability? I mean, you make it very complex, it becomes very hard. Okay, and then people will say, okay, we will have to bear with it. This is not something that people are going to like, and hence, think about it. If I want to change, if I want to stop allowing you to have login after 3 wrong attempts, I will very easily do this interesting thing. I know your email ID, I don't know your password, and I don't care. I will simply log in you as 3 times, every time making random passwords. What will happen? After 3 times, the system will lock you out. Now that was my goal. Now you cannot log in yourself. So you have to go to the bank or your college and reset your password, but next day again I will do the same thing. So this is called denial of service. So you cannot actually make this kind of a rule everywhere. Banks do it. Why? Because banks also have a net banking account number, and they tell you that this net banking account number should not be shared with others. So if somebody has known your net banking account number, which is not the same as your email ID, it is not supposed to be known to others. Email ID is known to be others. but your net banking login is not supposed to be known to others. So, if somebody has known your net banking ID and then that person is making 3 wrong attempts, it is already good enough warning that maybe your account should be locked, because somebody is trying to enter into your banking ID and you can lose money. So, banks are okay doing that, but emails cannot. So, depending on the application, you have to decide whether you want to do a lockout after 3 trials or not. In email it does not make sense, in bank it makes sense. Okay. How do you know if your password has been broken? Okay. So, there are sites where information are stored. So, there is a scientist, there is a researcher from cyber security world, used to be a director of security in Microsoft earlier, named as Troy Hunt. He has created a website, Have I Been Pwned? PWNED. So, I suggest you now, I give you 2 minutes time, log in to this website, Have I Been Pwned? Type your email ID there, your Gmail or Yahoo or whatever email ID, personal email ID you use, just check, have I been pwned? I am sure many of you will find your information being leaked online. Just try, have I been pwned? Log in from your mobile. Okay. I will give you a couple of minutes. The website is haveibeenpwned.com, and pwned is PWNED. You simply need to give your email ID there, nothing else. Have I been pwned? Your email ID, press enter and see how many places your database has been leaked. Do you find, anybody finds their database leaked? Anybody found? 7 data breaches, and what are those breaches? You can see below this. LinkedIn, okay, very common, okay. There might be Zomato, there might be others. How many? 7. Okay. Anybody has, you see students also? You find your name appearing somewhere in these database leaks? Anybody finding? So, yes, how many? 2. Okay. You are young, so only 2. Okay. In a few years, you will see your name appearing in more and more places as you use more and more services. Okay. Because everybody's database gets keep leaked. Okay. So, LinkedIn, Zomato, I mean Dropbox, so many different things. So, I checked mine today, 9 database leaks, and I was joking with my WhatsApp friends, and somebody says, oh, my name appears 17 times. Okay. So, this is the level. See, so many places your information has already been leaked, you did not even know this. Okay. So, this is the kind of power of cyber security. You do not even know your data is getting leaked online. Okay. Okay. Again, back to the slides. Yeah. Okay. So, and a big problem is that when database gets leaked, you do not even know your database is leaked. Sometimes even the companies do not know. So, there was an IBM study, and IBM found that after the database leak and the time when people know that it is leaked, it is typically 6 months. So, for 6 months even companies do not know that database got leaked. Okay. So, how do you know if your database got leaked? You are running a website or a service, you have thousands of users and some hacker is stealing your database, you have no idea. How would you know your database got leaked? Either there is a news on hacker forum or dark web, then you understand, oh, they are talking about my data. But without that, how would you know? So, this is a serious technological problem actually. Companies do not know their database get leaked. And I am telling you from the IBM study, the typical time of knowing, average time I am talking about, average time before the database gets leak gets known is 6 months. So, in some cases it is only 2 months, some cases it is even 1 year. Till 1 year people do not even know that database got leaked. So, how would you know if you are running a company? How would you know that your database leak happens and you come to know? So, now this is a different security problem. How much time I have? How much time? Half an hour. Okay, fine. Yeah, okay. So, I was just thinking if I forget sometimes when teaching, so I have enough time. Okay. So, how would you know if your database got leaked? You are a security consultant in a company and the company hires you for this job that whenever my database gets leaked, I should know. How would you do it? One way is you monitor this dark web, but that is very hard. Dark web is already hidden, you cannot monitor everything in dark web. and there can even be false information on dark web. So think creatively, how would you know that the database got leaked? So if I was an engineer, what would I do? I will randomly create fake accounts. I will create maybe 100 fake accounts, okay? And these accounts are never issued to any user, but they have some valid passwords. Now if I see somebody logging into those accounts, I know my database must have been leaked, because I never gave it to anybody. So nobody should have known these passwords. If somebody is logging into these passwords, that means that my database has been leaked. So this is a trick which was actually studied in cybersecurity industry, and this was a paper written in 2013 by Jewels and Rivest from MIT. They actually came up with this very simple idea called honey passwords. So it is like honey which is used to attract bees. Okay. So you have created passwords, fake passwords, and attackers will attack them, and then you will understand, oh, my password has been leaked. Okay. So this is a very nice trick from 2013, a cybersecurity conference where it was published. Okay. What about generating random passwords? Now human beings are actually very bad at generating passwords. Human beings typically generate passwords like password 12345 and so on, and hence what we would say, there is actually a website called boozeallen.com where US Army people actually use, and once their database got leaked, and then people analyzed their data, and people found that 22 of 90,000 US Army people were using their passwords as 123456. 22 out of 10,000, okay, I mean 90,000. Okay. So the number is small, but this is already big enough from an attacker point of view. Okay. From an attacker point of view, even 1 or 2 is good, but there were 22 of them. So imagine how many of them had passwords like password 123, password $123, and so on. Okay. And there are many similar number for other kind of weak passwords also. So what would you like to do? And we should recommend to use password managers. Okay. Now of course you will say, what is password manager? So we can talk about it. So their password managers are softwares which actually generate random passwords for you, and they not only generate, they also allow you to log in directly seamlessly. So you don't log into websites directly, you log in through password manager. So many of the browsers nowadays have built-in password generators and password managers. Okay. And they will also take care that if when a database breach happens, they will notify that this password has been leaked, kindly change it. So this is a good password manager's job. They of course will cost you a bit. Many of them are free also. So I would recommend very strongly to use. This is again Google survey from 2018, and they found that how people have actually high confidence that we are secure. 69% people believed that they are secure, and 59 people believed that their account are more secure than average person, whereas actually 33% don't regularly update. So people have more confidence in their abilities than they actually are. Okay. So that kind of a survey was done by Google. People think that, oh, my attacks happen, but it's not going to happen against me. I am smart. Okay. The majority of the people have this problem. They don't realize that their account is also equally easy to attack. Okay. What about public Wi-Fi? In many places, public Wi-Fi is unencrypted. So whenever you see this free Wi-Fi available, like on railway stations nowadays, I would strongly recommend not to use it, because many places it is not secure. In fact, the US government in 2021 during COVID time actually warned their employees against it. They said, do not use public networks because your password may be leaked there. Okay. Public Wi-Fis in general are very, very insecure. We never recommend them. Now what about this? Your database gets leaked, but you think it doesn't matter. I did not have anything important there. Okay. So Facebook has leaked your data, and you realize your data is as worthless as you, so you don't care. Okay. So what if you think like this? Okay. The problem is that it is not just your data. Actually, what happened? Okay. So your data is actually very, very important, even though you don't think, because your data can be used for phishing attack against others. And a very common attack technique, if somebody's data is leaked, I know who their family members are, I know what are the date of births, who lives where, and then what I will try to do, if I am an attacker, I am a a criminal, I will try to call the lady old member of the family and I will say, this kid has been hurt, he is lying in hospital, I need 50,000 rupees right now, please send urgently. And I will give so much convincing information about the kid, maybe I will even send some pictures. This lady will get convinced and she will immediately send me the money. This has happened reality in many times. So, your data actually you think is not very important, but it is important to fool your other relatives and family members. So, it is good idea to keep your data secure, not only to secure yourself, but to also secure your family members. Okay. What about okay. So, what about this single sign on? It is again a technique which is used many times. You allow login via Facebook or Twitter or Google and so on. Many websites allow you this thing. I again generally recommend not to do this because Google already knows a lot about you. Why tell them more? Okay. Why tell them more that I can also log in via your service to this account, and then Google will start monitoring that also, because they have your password or they have your login. So, in general not a good idea, and actually use different passwords for different sites. So, avoid single sign on, because one compromise actually is going to compromise everything else. Okay. Do not usually save password info in the browser unless you know that the browser is good. So, some browsers are actually good, I cannot name, but some browsers are good and some are bad. So, depending on which browser, which kind of password manager they are using, you should be careful. Okay. And do not fall for phishing, because it is a very common technique for human beings to trust others. So, that is what is used by people psychologically to actually make you fall for phishing. They will use such a convincing way of talking or email or language that people will start believing that the person to whom they are talking is speaking truth, and then people will fall for it. So, this is another important thing. Essentially, you have to develop a habit of distrust. Do not trust anything on the internet, and I come back to the first slide I started. Do not believe everything on the internet. Who you are talking to could be actually a dog. So, that always remember create a feeling of distrust. Now, your algorithm may be good, everything is good, but when things get implemented in practice, there are issues. So, I will give you one example. This is not the way people implement, but I am just giving you as an example. Think that maybe you are using something like this. I already said we do not save the passwords, but suppose this implementation was like this, that if password which is supplied by the user is equal to the saved password, then do something else, do something. So, if the password test is successful, allow the user to log in, otherwise show an error message, something like that. Okay. And this typically comparison might be done by a string comparison function in C programming language, strcmp or so on. Okay. Many of you probably know already some string comparison function in Python, Java or C, etc. So, many people may think that why not implement it like this. Now, imagine what happens. When string comparison happens, there is the input string and this is the saved string, and you are going to compare if the input is matching with the saved or not. Now, how the comparison will happen? Most programming languages are looking at efficiency, because most of these programming languages were designed in 70s and 80s when efficiency was a big issue. Today, you have compute power easily available, but in those days saving computation power was very, very important. Saving memory was very important, saving computation power was very important. So, if I have a string 1 and a string 2, how do I compare? I compare the first character of string 1 with first character of string 2. If they match, then I will go to the next. If they do not match, I will immediately say they do not match. Clear? So, byte by byte comparison happens. Now, in one byte there are 8 bits. 8 bits means how many typical strings I can create? 2 to the power 8, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, etc. Okay. So, there are total 1, 1, 1, 1, total 2 to the power 8 or 256 possibilities. What I will try to do, I am the attacker, this thing is in my hand, I can try different things here. This is something that I do not know, my goal is to know that. What I will do, I will create 256 strings. The first character I will try all possible 256 things, from 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 till 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So, I have 256 possibilities. Second byte, third byte, fourth byte, fifth byte, I simply fill randomly without any care. and I try these 256 strings in this function. So, if it is a website, it will give me error all 256 times likely, because I would not have guessed the password correctly. But there is a small twist. Out of these 256 inputs that I gave, 255 inputs will have first byte also not matching, but one particular input will be matching in the first location. Why? Because I tried all possible things on the first byte. One of them must match, and the one where match happens, the character matching will go on to the second byte, and this will take slightly more time than the other 255. Now, if I can do comparison of the time of mismatch, out of 256, I will find that 250 times the output rejection is happening very quickly. In one case, the rejection takes 0.01 second extra. This is enough for me to know what was the first byte of your password. Now, I try the same idea on the second byte, then I try the same idea on the third byte. So, if your password has n bytes, every time I need to try 2 to the power 8 times. So, my total effort is n times 2 to the power 8. Assume your password is 8 bytes, then it is 8 times 2 to the power 8, which is how much? 512. So, it is an effort of that order of 512 or 1000, I mean about 512, because 2 to the power 10 is 1024. So, 2 to the power 9 will be 512. So, I need to only try about 512 times and I would have found your password. Whereas, your password 8 byte long should have taken me 2 to the power 64 times, if each thing was supposed to be random. So, imagine how easy it is for an attacker to guess your password if it is not implemented correctly. So, implementation should not happen like this string comparison, and this is the example that I just now mentioned to you. I will match character by character. When it does not match, it will give me an error, and if this is how you are implementing, your password will be revealed actually much easy, just because of a weakness in the implementation. Okay. Then what are the lesson learned? You not only need to use strong passwords, you also need to use different password for different services, and maybe use password managers. Okay. Use also multi-factor authentication. Don't share your passwords with others. You change your passwords periodically, and don't write down your passwords and put them on a place where it is publicly visible. Okay. There are many lessons like this which I taught. If you ever face cybercrime, always report to the government at cybercrime.gov.in. There is a phone number 1930 which you should also report to. Okay. And final thing, I will stop with a few more slides at the end, is how do you actually transfer the password on the other side, or how passwords are stored. So, I talked about the function f in the beginning. What is that function f? So, design of function f was done by some security engineers long ago, and these techniques are known as bcrypt and scrypt, but they are known to be not very secure. So, still industry uses them, but there was a competition held in 2014 to 2017, which was known as password hashing competition, or PHC. In that PHC, new designs were made for password hashing algorithms. The competition's winner was an algorithm called Argon 2, and Google and other websites are slowly shifting towards Argon 2. I also designed something during that time. So, I and my PhD student Shweta Mishra and my collaborator Dong Hoon Chang and another PhD student Arpan Jati, we created a password hashing algorithm called RIG. It is available online at some link, and the code is also available at my PhD student Arpan Jati's GitHub, in case anybody is interested. Okay. So, okay, you may not understand, but maybe you enjoy, okay, just knowing that we do something. Okay. There is more technical information about this in case you want to read. This is about digital identity guidelines from the US Standards National Institute of Standards and Technology, which has actually published the entire guideline about how to secure passwords. And there is two fun stuff. They use abusive language, so I cannot play these videos here, but I give you the recommendation. Watch them on YouTube. Fun things about password security. One is Michael McIntyre and the other one is by Gaurav Gupta. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, if anybody has a question, I am happy to answer. Yes. Yeah. You have a mic or? Okay. Yeah, I can hear. Yeah.
leaked. So what do you prefer, that shall we add that particular data in some drive or something else? In hard drive, if we are putting in hard drive, there may be the chances that it will get corrupt.
Yeah.
And for security, like now I am very well aware that my data is not safe.
Yeah. So again, this leads to, so her question is about storing data on internet, maybe in a Google Drive. The question is that what happens, I mean, you know that if your Google password gets leaked, your Google Drive is also going to be leaked. The question is now, should we share on Google Drive or not? The question actually is, are you using your data only for static keeping it with you, or you are keeping it for, say, sharing with others? So for example, there is a website called overleaf.com, many researchers use it. So we use it to write papers together. Now it's not that the paper is supposed to be known to the world. We are writing it among 2-3 authors. When the paper is finished, we are going to submit somewhere. Before that, we do not want this paper to be leaked, but we still use it because the aim is collaboration. And we believe that our passwords there are safe. But if it is only static data which I want to keep for my own security, then maybe there is one possibility is organizations actually use NAS, network storage drives, and there is redundancy built in. So even if one of the data, these hard drives gets lost, other hard drives will still have the data. So there is duplication, etc., done by the NAS storage. So if you are working as a researcher, it is a good idea to have the organization provide you this NAS storage, and NAS is not very costly. Maybe by I think the smallest, the cheapest one will even start at 20,000-25,000 rupees. Okay, and this is typically one-time cost. If you want a large NAS storage, maybe 10 lakhs, 5 lakhs kind of a thing. So that is what we typically do. And if it is to be shared with people, we also actually put it in Google Drive. And the only thing is you should be aware that there is a small risk. How big the risk is depends on how strong your passwords are and with whom are you sharing the data. If you are already sharing the data with others, they may leak it, not you. But if it is only with you and your password is strong, it is unlikely to be leaked to anywhere else. There is another talk which I am not giving today, is that Google actually shares their data with their government for terrorism purpose and security purpose. So if you have anything on Gmail, anything you have ever put on internet, most likely if the US government wants it, their national security agency wants it, they already have it. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, there is somebody here. Yeah, you can speak, I can hear. Yeah. No. When you are a student, I do not recommend any certification. I have 0 certification and I teach people who have certifications. So certifications are not needed, okay, first of all. If you are in industry, there it matters. So when you are in many industries actually, because they want to show to their clients in US or Australia or Europe that our workforce has these kind of things. So some of my PhD students are right now working as cybersecurity researchers in industry. Their companies sponsored them for these certificates. The certificates actually are not very difficult. If you have a reasonable background in cybersecurity, you will actually pass with very good scores. This is precisely what my students did. They already had the knowledge, but they said, why should we waste our money? If the company wants to give us for that, we will happily take it and we will pass. This is precisely what they did. So as a student, I do not recommend you to invest your money in these kind of things. Okay. No, that is not true. If you actually do more cyber security research on your own, it actually is much more helpful. So you had to have a very active GitHub account. You show that what kind of tools you are developing. When people come to hire, and you can actually prove that yes, I have been developing these tools, or I have taken these tools, I have applied them in these settings, that is much more important than having a certificate. If I was in the hiring side, I would rather hire somebody who has an active profile rather than somebody who has certifications. Because I know, as I already mentioned, certifications are not difficult. They are useful for companies to prove to their clients that I have a trained manpower. So why waste your money? Let companies' money be wasted if they want to prove to somebody. Okay. So it may seem interesting to you because you are a beginner and you are going to get a first job some point of time. But very soon that first job will become second, third and fourth. So you really, I do not advise people to invest their money, at least not in their student life. There are vacancies, but usually initial jobs are not very hard to get. Initial jobs, because people don't trust. Everybody will start claiming that I know cybersecurity. So how do you prove? So that is why a lot of people actually try to enter into a normal role and then do a cybersecurity job in the company, because then they can actually create a profile. So in general, even about AI and data science, which is very hot these days, I do not recommend student, at least at your level, to actually invest your all energy in only that direction. First of all, we are not very good at predicting future. So what after 2-3 years, when you start graduating, this boom of AI doesn't actually remain. What if it changes to something else? 10 years ago it was IoT devices. So things of this sort can happen any point of time. So it is not a good idea as a student to invest yourself completely only in one direction. It is important to know what is going on in industry, and it is important to do courses related to that. So cyber security you should take just like one direction. You should also learn AI and machine learning techniques, and you should probably club the two. How do I use AI techniques into cyber security research? For example, there is a lot of research about malwares. Can I identify a malware from a database? So when an APK is being installed on my phone, can I predict is it containing a malicious software or not? So there are things of this sort where machine learning actually plays a very important role. Network science, I'm talking about computer networks. Machine learning has a very important role to predict if a packet which is coming is a malicious packet or a not malicious packet. So people are actually using, companies like Cisco are investing very heavily in using machine learning techniques in their cybersecurity tools. So combinations are all useful, but at least at your age, I do not recommend people to actually invest only in one direction. So always try to learn the proper computer science. Take all courses seriously, because you do not know. When I did my BTech and MTech, I did not know that at some point of time I am going to do cryptography and cybersecurity. It actually comes when time comes and you start succeeding, you would not know. Okay, so I will tell you one thing. Chetan Bhagat was my junior, one batch junior in IIT Delhi. Okay, I ragged him. Okay, so he was in first year, I was in second year in the same hostel. We did not know that he is going to become a writer. Okay, so you do not know where your career is going to take you. So it is important to actually be prepared for anything. When opportunity comes, you have to hit it. Some of my friends became investment bankers. They never knew in college that they are going to be investment bankers. They thought that they will become an engineer, maybe they will take up an engineering job. Then they started thinking, okay, let us do MBA. They did MBA, suddenly they entered into some finance. In finance also they thought they will be in some company, they got into investment banking. So it's a matter of chance. Life is very unpredictable, and you should not actually think of making such strict plans that if they do not succeed, you suddenly feel helpless. So it is good to be dynamic, good to know lots of things, because you do not know which thing is going to be useful at what point of time. The other thing is that even when you enter into one direction, you do not know if some other knowledge becomes very useful. So I was very interested in mathematics and combinatorics some point of time. So I used to solve puzzles and combinatorics and so on. And when I started doing my research in PhD, suddenly one point of time, this knowledge became very, very useful. I never knew that this is going to be useful. I just did it for fun, but it became very, very useful at some point of time. Okay. So you do not know what knowledge is going to be useful at what point of time. So it is a good idea, at least at young age, to keep your mind and heart open. Learn as much as possible. Try to learn practical applications, not just the bookish knowledge. Apply things, write code, develop tools, and use tools developed by people. That is going to be much more beneficial for your career. Thank you. यस
सर, जैसे आपने अभी बोला प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज, तो कौन सी स्किल्स हम अभी से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं सीखना जो हमें साइबर सिक्योरिटी में आगे हेल्प करे?
कौन सी क्लास में हो आप अभी?
अभी फर्स्ट ईयर में।
फर्स्ट ईयर, स्टार्ट विद प्रोग्रामिंग फर्स्ट. ओके
ओके,
become good at programming and try to learn how to use tools developed by others, because वो tools लिखे होंगे GitHub पे, GitHub के उस tool को चलाना भी आसान नहीं होता, because they are not written for in a user friendly manner. ठीक है, because the aim is not to give it to a person and just let it run. अगर उनको वही करना होता तो वो टूल बना के बेच रहे होते. उन्होंने वेबसाइट पे रखा हुआ है एज ए रिसर्चर. उस टूल को यूज करना इज ऑल्सो समथिंग दैट विल रिक्वायर यू एफर्ट. तो वो सब चीजें करो. ठीक है. And then there is typical thing called reconnaissance. So how do you do reconnaissance of a network? How do you find कौन सी machine weak है, कौन से port open है, and things like that. Okay. Yeah, I'll be here, by the way. I don't know, the time might be up, so I'm here. If you have any more questions, you can. Actually, I already showed my last page. My email ID is here. If you want, you can write. And I keep coming to this university. Your provost is a good friend of mine, and I enjoy coming here. It's a very nice city of Vadodara. You may also meet me again. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. On behalf of GSFC University, I extend our heartfelt gratitude for your insightful presentation on cybersecurity. Your expertise and engaging delivery provided us with a deeper understanding of complexities in this field. We appreciate the time and effort you dedicated to sharing your knowledge with us. Your ability to demystify complex cybersecurity concepts and present them in an accessible manner was particularly commendable. The real-world examples you shared highlighted the importance of proactive security measures and left a lasting impression on all attendees. Your emphasis on practical strategies has equipped us with the tools to better protect our digital assets. Thank you once again for your valuable contribution. We would like to work with you in future. Just a second. I would like to call Mihir sir to facilitate sir with the memento.